Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. I'm here to ask and answer one simple question. WTF is Skullgirls? Well, it's currently in beta right now. It's, of course, port of the game which came out late 2011, if I recall correctly. This took a long time. I actually had this on my list ages ago, and I said, yeah, we're gonna get your code, and then it never actually happened, and then suddenly, oh, 2 years down the line I get code. Alright, okay, fair enough. Took longer than expected, to say the least. So this is a fighting game. Published and created, I believe, for PC by Lab Zero. Some weird licensing stuff going on with it. It didn't start off being those guys, but one way or the other, the beta currently includes most of the content. It doesn't have the story mode in. They disabled that. I actually did get to play through it once before they disabled it. Well, I believe the purpose of that was to prevent people from getting into the beta, playing the story mode, and then just not buying the game, which makes no sense, because the story's really nothing to write home about. The reason people buy fighting games is not generally the story mode. Unless it is Mortal Kombat 9, in which case maybe they did, but... So what's it all about? Well, it's a fighting game. That's what it's about. It's about fighting. It's pretty much as simple as that. So let's have a look at the options, shall we? Alright, so controls can be configured. They're actually configured very easily as well, which I like. You can configure the two players separately as well, which is always nice. Binding everything to my Mad Catz fight stick was really easy. Like, I did it in 15 seconds. Just like, hit the buttons. Light punch, medium punch, heavy punch, done. Like, oh, okay, that easy, is it? Alright, so it works with 360 controller. It automatically detected my fight stick, which was quite nice and unexpected, considering it's a PS3 fight stick, so it doesn't actually use the Xbox stuff. But it seemed to work anyway. So you can pretty much use any controller as long as you're able to configure it. Or you can just use the keyboard. Up to you, really. Keyboard is absolutely fine for this game, from what I can tell. It doesn't have, like, any crazy full circle stuff that would make that difficult, but yeah, it's up to you. Some people play fighting games with keyboards, and it's fine. The only legitimate reason not to play a fighting game with a keyboard is the problem that there's too many keys, right? If you think about a fight stick, really, all a fight stick is a bunch of inputs, just like pressing buttons on a keyboard, except it's a lot bigger, so it's harder to miss, yeah? If you play on a keyboard, there's a lot of other keys that you could accidentally strike instead of the keys that you were supposed to be striking. I think that's really the reason for it. Think about stuff like fight boxes, then they are, for the most part, just a gigantic keyboard with a limited number of buttons. I've said it several times before, it's kind of true. Alright, settings-wise, you got a reasonable number of customization options. You can actually even change your screen size, which is very unusual. This frame delay right here is for multiplayer. You can actually... It recommends a frame delay on a case-by-case basis based on the ping of your opponent, yeah? I am not going to pretend to know a huge amount about this, but I assume it's important. Stage backgrounds can be in either 3D or 2D, which is nice because some people don't like the distraction of a 3D background. Video settings are lacking, I have to say. Even at 120 Hz, the game still runs at 60 frames per second. This is very much expected, because frame timing is extremely important in fighting games, so I did not expect to go above 60 FPS, so that's actually fine in this case. You can go for borderless window, though, so that's always nice. There is a lack of just, like, overall detail customization aside from the backgrounds. I don't know how much it would really need it, considering it is a 2D game, but it would be nice to have it nonetheless. And then, of course, you can look at your command lists. That is the number of characters right there. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 characters. So... let's get into it. I'm going to do a little bit of arcade mode, and then I'm going to show you exactly why I think this game is worthy of your attention. So I'll go into single-player arcade mode, and grab our character. You might notice the overall art style of this game is rather interesting. Now, this is one of the first big differences that I've seen compared to other titles like this, like, say, Marvel vs. Capcom. Here you can choose the size of your team, and it'll scale you accordingly. So if you don't want to play a 3-player tag team match, you can play as one character. Like, I actually prefer just to play one character, because currently I only really know one character to a basic level, where I can actually pull off a reasonable number of combos and moves. So I prefer one character, but it's actually really cool that you can choose this. And then your opponent could choose either 1, 2, or 3 characters as well, which is pretty cool. That's really awesome. I like that a lot. A lot of accessibility and customization there. I'm gonna play Valentine. This is the character that I actually know how to use, at least to kind of a reasonable degree at any rate. Alright, let's rock and roll. Nice colorful art style, as I think you can probably tell. Looks like I'm actually going to be going against a 3-1 team right here. Alright, can have some of that, and let's see what we can do. There we go. That works. Alright, so... it's kind of what you would expect from a 2D fighting game, honestly. There aren't all that many, like, features that I would outright say, oh, look, this is really, really different to every other 2D fighting game. It's not, yeah? It takes ideas from existing games. You appear to have lost your head. How unfortunate for you. And it executes them very, very well. Obviously, it's got a limited number of characters. Why did I even let that actually hit me in the first place? I'm getting zoned out here. I'm not having that. Nope, none of that. Thank you very much. Here you go. You can have some of this. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Mechanics are fairly familiar, I think, to most people. You have your kind of basic combo system. In the case of Valentine, she's very much a kind of a Shoto-based character, as in you're looking for quarter circle moves for the most part, which is good, because that's kind of what I'm familiar with games like Street Fighter. You've got stuff like hit confirming, throws, and your kind of basic hit confirmation stuff as well. And then you've got your tension meter, which can go up to, I think, level 3. That will allow you to unlock various levels of super attack. Some of them are kind of basic straight-up super attacks that just do damage like that. And then there are some which are like parries and counters and things like that. They vary on a character-by-character basis. And then you also have the ability to knock certain characters out of the ring and force other characters in if you're playing a tag match. So, you know, there's no new mechanics there. Let's be entirely honest about that. There are no new mechanics there at all. But that doesn't mean the game is bad. Actually, quite the opposite. The game feels fantastic. Like, it really feels slick. It feels like you could really have a lot of really awesome combo potential in there. And the feedback on the screen is very clear as well. I love the fact that it very clearly shows you where the blocks are. And that kind of helps you learn how to mix up your attacks properly. Oh, that didn't go well. Alright, let's see if I can kind of... No! Shouldn't have gone airborne against that. That was silly. Alright, alright. There we go. Hit confirmed, and that should be a finish. Quite nicely. Sweet. Nice, nice, nice. Everything about the game feels responsive, and everything about the game feels fun to use, yeah? Like, I think if you have a fighting game where the impacts don't really register, then you've designed a really bad fighting game, all things considered. This is going to get really annoying, isn't it? There we go. Let's clear that up initially. And then we can start dealing with it. Getting close to her is nigh on impossible. Good lord. There we go. That'll do. Come on. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting I actually have a dash move. That should bypass a lot of her nonsense. It's probably one of the most important things when it comes down to fighting games is that the moves are actually enjoyable to use. Character variety is really high as well. Like, every character in the game is female, which is an interesting design choice. Like, there's not a single male character in the game at all, as far as I can tell. And they're all designed in different ways. And there's a lot of obvious kind of anime tropes and cartoon influences here and there. The art style does kind of tend to vary from character to character. But they're all well developed in terms of their moveset as well as their overall style. And I think there's a good amount of variety there, even if there's only 9 characters actually in the game, which is pretty awesome. This does mean you're going to get a lot of mirrors, because there are only 9 characters. It is fairly likely, especially in a 3-man team, that you will have the same character fighting each other. That's just kind of the way of it. As you will probably note, there are assists available in this game as well. There we go. Also like the background art. Very, very strong. And the whole, they call it a dark deco style. You might kind of notice the sort of jazz style of some of the music, the whole 1920s thing going on. Very nice little contrast with the very colorful art style, I feel. It's pretty cool. I mean, the actual soundtrack to the game is great. Some really, really good stuff in there. Yeah, you can have some of that. Oh no, this did not go well. There we go. I'm going to jump out of this in a second so I can show you the training mode, because I mean, there's not really a lot that I can currently say about this in terms of actually recommending the game to you. I mean, so far, what have I said? You know, let's recap. Yeah, it's a good-looking game, and it feels good, and it plays well, and the characters are well-designed. There's not all that many characters, but they're well-designed regardless, and all the kind of things that you would expect from a AAA fighting game are there, except for the number of characters in the roster, and yet this is an indie fighting game, you know, which actually kind of makes it pretty impressive. The art design is interesting, the all-female lineup is unusual, and the overall character design definitely has an awful lot of work put into it that makes that roster interesting. There are no generic characters in this game. Some of the characters are just crazy looking. So far, you haven't seen characters like Painwheel or Squiggly or Double, who just... I mean, Double's barely even humanoid, quite frankly, and that in itself is pretty cool. We don't see that all that often. You're gonna go down. There we go. Excellent. That went pretty well. Alright, I'm gonna jump out this. So, if you haven't played fighting games, should you have a look at Skullgirls? Yes! Let me show you why. That's Painwheel, by the way. She's a little strange. Come on. Let's get through here. There we go. Alright. Let me show you why. This game has the best training mode that I've ever seen in a fighting game. It is exceptional. So you got your training room here, which is obviously designed for practicing your moves and doing your combos and things like that. But what you've got is a massive tutorial. Huge. Goes all the way up to Chapter 7. Covers every single character, their expected moves, and describes how to use that character. Yeah? Which is amazing. Shows you little techniques that kind of work well and what the character's good at. You know? And that's fantastic. But it's not just that, because it goes into all sorts of things like cancelling into air dashes. There's an entire chapter on how to do that. Advanced techniques such as stagger and jump-ins, how to connect multiple blockbusters by a team of different characters, infinity breakers and infinite combos, air chains, defensive techniques. There are several chapters about dealing with mix-ups, yeah? Which is a kind of common fighting game term which is used to describe a series of different height attacks designed to get through blocks, yeah? It's more difficult to block a mix-up than it is 5 or 6 attacks at the same height. The fact that this is all here is huge. Yeah, this is a massive deal because I think this is perhaps the biggest barrier in front of a lot of people that are trying to get into fighting games. And there's two things you can really do to try and alleviate that. Either you can break the fighting game down to its bare essentials, and you can make it more simplistic. BlazBlue did it a little bit, and then of course there's Dive Kick, which is a complete deconstruction of what fighting games are. Or you can have a really good in-depth tutorial that actually teaches you this stuff. Learn how to do mix-ups on your own, yeah? Tells you exactly what a mix-up is. When on the offensive, you will have more success if you vary the height of your attacks, so it's harder to block them all. And then, with particular characters that it wants to show you, it's kind of a shame that it doesn't let you pick the character here, but I guess that would have been an awful lot of work to give you a description of mix-ups for each and every character in this context. If you do want to learn a particular character, you can learn that, and you can just go to their chapter. So hit with a crouching low kick after a jumping high punch. Okay, so if I actually hit with that, that would have worked. All right, so there you go. You can see that she blocks high, I immediately go into low, which means that she doesn't block. That means I get a hit confirmation, I can turn that into some kind of combo. Yeah, hit with an overhead attack after the opponent blocks low. Power Soul's back and high kick is an overhead attack. Chain the crouching medium kick and high kick into that. Okay, so there we go. So that actually was able to bypass the defense and things like that. And then you've got information about hit confirming and things like that. You know, you use hit confirm to get this kind of situation and things like that. It's pretty great. It's absolutely fantastic. So instead of just reading move lists, it actually tells you how to use a bloody character, and it teaches you fighting game fundamentals. That's massive. That's a huge deal. And not only that, but it is an advanced enough game to be fun for someone that's actually played an awful lot of fighting games. Now, versus mode, you can play online, or you can play versus someone in the same room. So local-only tournament mode, quick match. We'll try and get one. It's probably not going to happen. There's not all that many people playing the beta, but we'll see how it goes. I played like 3 or 4 matches of it that I managed to get over the course of it, but every now and again, it'll error out and won't give you the information. It's a bit of a pain in the ass. I don't feel that any fighting game's really done this right. Currently, I have a ping of 176, so I'm going to increase my frame delay to 5. I'm going to go with one super powerful character. Just want to play Valentine for this one. See how this one goes. And then you'll see how this goes. Alright, and he is playing a one-character Squiggly as well. Alright, we'll see how this goes. There you go. There's a little bit of poison. She's in the air, and we can confirm that into the... Oh, we almost confirmed it. I didn't quite hit confirm that properly. There we go. You can have some of that. And you can have some poison, just to make matters interesting. She's got this really annoying diagonal air dash, which seems to get past an awful lot of stuff. Ah, missed that one. Not good. and actually block some of these mix-ups. Get in nice and easy. There you go, you can have some of that. Not really much to say while I'm trying to survive this, I tell you. Yeah, have some of that. There we go. That's what I like to see. Block that. She is building up a lot of super meter, which is a little bit worrying. We'll get in and get a few hits here and there. I've seen people go up to like 50 hit combos in this game, which is kind of ridiculous. That is going to be a finish, I think. Sit down. That's what I like to see. I haven't really learned how to exploit that combo system as of yet, so it's going to take a little bit of practice, I feel. But I mean, it feels good. Like, even with 176 ping with a frame delay, it feels fine. I don't feel like I'm being deliberately punished, so the system seems to work pretty well. I mean, obviously, online fighting games are going to be limited. If you really want the lag-free experience, then you play offline. It's really as simple as that. Technology just isn't there yet, but, you know, this feels totally playable for your kind of average player. I don't have a problem with it personally, so that should be fine. Yes. You're getting your arse hand. Oh, that was almost messy. Thankfully not. I need to learn a few more combos. Like, she seems like she's got a lot of combo potential, but I haven't kind of quite managed to get it up above about 11 or 12 hits yet. But I'm very much kind of a hit confirm kind of person. I played nothing but Dan in Street Fighter 4, and his ultimate, his Ultra or whatever, really, really requires you to hit confirm an awful lot. And so I kind of learned that, and it's the kind of principle that I do here. I'm also transitioning over to fight sticks, which is really weird, because with Dan, I used to play with nothing but a Sega Saturn fighter pad, and it was absolutely fantastic. But in this game, I'm finding actually the fight sticks really, really great, so I have very few complaints about this game. From the perspective of someone that casually enjoys fighting games, this is a really enjoyable game. It's got a fantastic art style. It's got a great selection of characters that are all, like, suitably different. Would have been nicer to see a larger roster, but if you actually recall the Kickstarter they did for this game to actually design a new character, it's going to cost them like 150 grand to fully design and animate and actually get this thing together. So you can imagine, you know, it's an expensive thing for an indie team to do. So the smaller character roster is a little bit of a black mark, but it's understandable as to why that's the case. Seems to have a reasonably robust online system, although, again, no fighting games really got it right as of yet. But the training mode is what stands out to me as being, like, the real reason to buy this. If you have an interest in fighting games, but you haven't got into them yet, start with this one. It's $15, which is a great price in and of itself. You know, it's cheaper than any other fighting game on PC. And it will train you how to play fighting games. The principles that you learn in this game are the same principles that pretty much run through almost every fighting game on the market. Things like hit confirming, things like mix-ups, and things like that. That is the kind of stuff that you need to know to be functionally decent at it. A lot of people, I think, misinterpret the idea of being good at fighting games as knowing the move list. That's absolutely not true. The move list for this game is actually quite small. There's not a huge amount to learn there anyway. Now, it's not about the moves, it's about learning when to use them and how to combo the different attacks together. That's what you need to learn, and that's more muscle memory and understanding of positioning and fundamentals. And that's what training mode lets you do. That's really impressive. Like, as I say, I've got so little bad to say about this game. Some people might be put off by the art style, but at the end of the day, that's going to be a personal preference. It's great. Skullgirls is fantastic. It's a really, really good game. From what I have experienced so far, the PC port doesn't seem to have any obvious problems. The game is obviously still in beta, so bear that in mind. And it will be out relatively soon on Steam. It's going to be released on August the 22nd. You can get into the beta right now if you pre-order, but, you know, that's entirely up to you. So little bad to say about it. Like, it's great fun. It's a really, really good fighting game. Great PC port. And I'm having a blast with it. So there you go. My name's been TotalBiscuit. Taking a look at Skullgirls for PC. Coming out on August the 22nd for $15. We'll see you next time.